by airplanes. On the ground, they're big, huge. But when they're up in the sky, they become tiny. Well, the same thing happened to me when I got on a plane. When it was my turn to join my mother in England, I was sent on a plane. On the ground, I was amongst millions who looked just like me. But as the plane rose higher and higher, I got smaller and smaller, just like what I'd seen looking up from the earth. So that by the time I landed at Heathrow Airport, I shrunk so small that I'd become a mere speck of pepper in a sea of salt. Lavenders blue, dilly dilly, lavenders green. When I am king, dilly dilly, you'll be my queen. In school, no one sang that song to me because I was African. And they couldn't see that I was a princess and could one day be queen. In Ghana, I wasn't colored. Everyone was the same as me, and the only thing that was unusual was if someone was without color. In this new world, living space was boxed and sold into little compartments called flats. No more cooking under the stars. The sun and the moon were now strangers to us, locked out by keys and bars on doors and windows. Earth and her daughter trees leased in places called parks. Animals barricaded in zoos. Human beings in apartments. Everybody in their place. Visitation at certain hours only. And don't dare visit someone without first calling to make an appointment. No more skipping barefoot on Mother Earth. Shoes and boots were necessary for the march on cement. No, Mama, please don't make me go out there to play. They look at me funny and they make fun of my name. Kwe Akuyoe, Akufikafu, como kamen jabu bonjane go. Mama, they call me Charlotte and they call me a gollywog. But they gollywog to me. I'm not a gollywog, am I, Mama? Oh, Rambile, my darling, don't cry. If they call you something, then you have to call them something back. Then you have to be strong. Come look at me. I'm #1 at Pittman's Secretarial School, eh? Who loves you, eh? Mama loves you. Me small boy too much. Hey, Mama small boy too much, eh? Melinia, eh? Damoshi mashavu. Melinia, eh? Damoshi mashavu. Wayada braka. Wayada. At home with Mama, we could speak in our real voices. In London's gray, miserable world, no one could hear me. But finally, I had to go out there. I had to go to school. And all the books I read were full of these colorless people. I remember walking through the snow to school and clinging to the railings because I was terrified of falling on the ice. I arrived at the school and was met by Miss Coat. Good morning, Charlotte Graham. It's good to have you here at Holman Hunt Primary School. That first day, I wore my hair wrapped in threads, just as I had done in Ghana. These are not snakes in my hair. My skin is too dark. There's nothing wrong with my nose. Stop it. No, you're not. My lips are not too big. Hey, Mama. Mama, come on, look, Mama. They're calling us savages on the TV. Hey. But when did this happen? To me, The colorless people were just like snow, white and cold. And at home, Mama, my hero, could turn them off because she can't for me down. One lunchtime, we were served Brussels sprouts. Ugh, the smell. I was not about to eat them. I'd never seen those green bowls in Ghana, and besides, I was an African princess that didn't have to eat anything that she didn't want to. Miss Coate came up to me and said, "Charlotte, you cannot return to your class until you've eaten your sprouts." Drums in my heart, drums in my soul, beating, beating. Feel their seductive rhythms pulsating through my veins. I am an ancient warrior, head held high, feet set firmly on the ground, tall spine, no need for fighting or bloodshed, centered in myself. A look, a word, a sigh, or dazzling smile brings peace. Inner truth slays all injustice. Compassion cradles and uplifts my soul. Color me African. I am an ancient warrior come at last. Being. Just being. Being. Just being. I'm so grateful to be with all of you here this afternoon in this beautiful country. Thank you so much. Standing here before you today, it has been a long walk, a long journey to be here, comfortable in my own skin, unapologetic. I haven't always been this way. I haven't always had this level of confidence. In fact, for most of my childhood and teenage years, I was plagued with feelings of unworthiness. I didn't like myself. Didn't like anything about me. Didn't like my features, the texture of my hair. And it was very uncomfortable. I used to walk down the street, and when I came in front of a storefront window, if I saw my reflection, I would turn away. It was so painful to see myself. And so I began a journey, because I knew I couldn't live that way. Who could? Because everywhere I went, there I was. So I had to find a way to reconcile, to make peace, to find a way to live in this body in a way that really could dignify my existence. So began my journey. The journey that I call Spirit Awakening. The journey of unmasking my authentic voice. I began to think, what if? What if everything I've ever been taught about myself, everything I've ever read about myself, and been taught about being a woman, a black woman, an African woman, being taught about being a human being, what if none of those things are true? What if there's a lot more to the picture than meets the eye? So I began the journey of asking, well, who am I? Who am I and what am I here for? And what I began to discover as I reclaimed my authentic voice was that, yes, I may be all those things, woman, black, African, all of those things are true about me, yet I am much more than that. And that I was no longer willing to buy into anything in this society or any society that was going to box me up and imprison me. I began to uncover, to reveal the true me behind all the disguises and phases through all the different phases of my life. And then I thought, okay, if I could just help one child not have to go through the emotional turmoil that I went through, then that's what I wanted to do. And so began my work with teaching incarcerated juveniles, incarcerated children. Some of the children that I teach are 10 years old. And I remember the very first time I went into a jail and worked with a 10-year-old child. First of all, I thought, what kind of a society? Where am I? What is this planet Earth that we have to incarcerate children? And what is it that makes children do the things that would want us to want to incarcerate them? So began the journey with the children, and really the journey with myself, going deeper. And I began to ask them as well. I said, will you join me, children? What if we put away everything we've ever been taught about who we are? What if you, Jose or Damien, because most of those children are black and brown, what if you put away everything you've been taught about who you are, who you should be, and go on a journey of self-discovery to discover your true self and perhaps the gifts and the talents that are within you that no one can deny? So when you go before the judge, we don't know what the judge will say, whether they'll give you 50 years or 100, which they sometimes do. But at least you can go there, you can stand there with all of your dignity, you can stand there with yourself, you know? What if? And these children have started this journey with me. And it's been extraordinary. They really are my teachers. What I love about working with children, they take no prisoners in the sense that you can't go in front of a child if you're not being real. They won't take it. Children, they don't listen to what you say, they hear what you do. And then they try to imitate it. I know that we're all very excited about all the technological advances in our society, and they are exciting. But I think the biggest advance that we could make is within the human soul. We haven't even began to really scratch the surface of that arena. Because when we do take that journey of self-discovery, we discover capacities to love and to forgive and to be redeemed that are much more than we could ever really imagine. This is what I have learned for myself. And this is the message that I take to the children. It's not that I have answers for them, because I don't. Sometimes a child will say, why should I do this work with you? Why should I be still? Why should I meditate? Why should I find a leader inside of myself? I'm looking at going away for 2 life sentences, and I'm 17. Why? And I'll say, you know what? You don't have to. You're right. I don't know what's going to happen when you go before the judge. Absolutely, you're right. What I do know, though, is if you're interested in the quality of living a life that's worthwhile, a quality of life with dignity that no one can take away from you, no one, then you take that journey. Take that journey. And whether your life does end up behind bars for 50 years or 5 minutes, at least you have yourself. And that self is expansive. It's enormous. And within that self are all the gifts of life. It's not out there. Life is an inside job for everybody, not just people that are behind bars. So the rethinking, what I want to invite all of you to do is, what if every human being, we all laid aside all the ideas that we have about ourselves, or we think we have about ourselves? What if we laid aside all the thoughts and enslaving thoughts that we've been given? What if we decided that from now on, from this moment on, I'm not going to go to the default thinking that victimizes me. So when something happens, I'm not going to, it's because I'm black, I'm a woman, I'm this, I'm short, I'm tall, I'm not short enough, I'm not tall enough. What if I let go of all of those kinds of excuses? And I'm willing to live without those nets. And have each moment be truly a moment of self-discovery. Have the moments really be authentic. What then? What would we discover? Who would we be without those nets? I invite you to join me on that journey. And I thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much.